Welcome to Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margot Moss.
We're here at Ted's Frost Up on Claiborne and Calhoun in Uptown New Orleans. Once a week, Margot and I meet here at Ted's, and we invite a member of New Orleans restaurant or food community to join us. And we invite them to bring along a friend, a plus one. And we never know who their plus one's going to be. Sometimes it's a neighbor, a fellow member, a family member, a fellow restaurant business colleague, a guy who mows their lawn. It could be anybody. In just a few moments, we're going to be talking with our very special guest, and we are really excited tonight to have with us on Midnight Menu Plus One, Justin Kennedy, the one and only, from Parkway Bakery. So we're very excited, and Margot, I'm wondering, before he gets here, do you have anything to share? Anything extraordinary happened to you this week? It's worth sharing, no?
No.
Nothing food related?
No.
I'm sure it was, but
Easter wasn't a big food holiday for me. It was fun.
Yeah.
But no. And
I went to a bunch of crawfish boils. I've been to some crawfish boils this week. I've been to like 10. Brussels sprouts. I hadn't had until this year. I hadn't had Brussels sprouts
in a boil.
Yes, and it was so good. Giant, like size of my fist, Brussels sprouts.
Excellent.
Unbelievable.
I've never heard of
also, turnips. They put turnips in there. That sounds awful, but it was awesome. It was like carrots, but these were like kind of white turnips. Big chunks of them. And they were great. And then what else? All the regular things were in it. But yeah, I think I went to two nights in a row. I went to crawfish bowls. I didn't eat any crawfish in either one because I got so into the vegetables.
I've only had crawfish twice this season.
Okay.
So I need to boil up some crawfish and experiment.
You ever do it yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It never turns out well though.
Really?
My new thing I was trying was lemon oil.
Lemon oil?
Someone told me about lemon oil.
Okay.
Got lemon oil.
Well, the last time I went to had lemons floating around in there and oranges and stuff, but this is
yeah,
different.
I had that too, but I tried to.
Lemon oil.
I don't know what I'm doing. I need
like
to leave it up to
the furniture cleaner, like the stuff you use on
yes,
tables.
Pine Sol.
Pine Sol.
No, like special ordered lemon oil from extract.
Do lemons have oil in them?
I went to this boil and the guy told me that was his secret ingredient. It was delicious.
Okay.
But he didn't tell me how to do it.
And then your hair was real shiny afterwards and stuff. Your skin had a glow afterwards. You were waxy. Okay. Well, it looks like Justin's here.
How you
Welcome.
doing, gang?
Thank you for
Hey,
coming.
the gang's all here.
All right.
Well, thank you all for having me, first and foremost.
Oh, it's an honor to have you here.
Yeah, definitely, and we're ready to get it going.
2 weeks in a row with Poboys. We had Killer Poboy on last week.
Oh, awesome.
Which was really, really interesting.
I've never been there, but we did a segment. CBS did a segment with the Super Bowl, and they hit all the Poboy shops you got to go to, and we had a little piece on it. And I watched it, and I saw Killer Poboys, and they're doing things I want to do, but I can't do them with a line out the door. So I'm gonna stick to what I do best.
You already got too many people coming.
Yeah.
You can't get any more popular than you are.
They praised y'all too. So it's nice, real community feeling, because they think highly of y'all.
It's neat because you know what, New Orleans is no competition. You got this guy running a po' boy joint. You got me running my po' boy joint. We're sitting in a restaurant right here that does po' boys. There ain't no competition. We help each other out. It takes two hands to wash your face, and that's what I say. You know what? If I need another hand and one hand's broken, I'm gonna ask for yours, and I expect you to ask for mine and your time of need.
Yeah. Do you know any po' boy places that make great po' boys that just died out? They just couldn't get customers. I can't think of one. The city rewards good po' boys, I think.
It does. It does. If you do it well and you do it right, and you treat it with respect, the people will come.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite po' boy shops in this town. I've been to every single one of them, whether they don't think I've been there or not. But one of my favorite po' boy shops is Guy's Po' Boys on magazine.
I love Guy's Po' Boys. Yeah, they're not open enough though. They need more hours.
Yeah,
the place is like 25 hours a week or something.
Right. I think maybe because the owner's in there working.
Yeah.
But it's a great place.
That pork chop po' boy with like the grilled onions on it is one of my favorite in the world. I love that. That's right near my house.
Right. It's old school. It just reminds you. And, of course, Don Melisse's is great.
Yeah.
And Mother's is great. But that place, when I walked into it, it was like something that that I expect my customers to see when they come into my place. You know,
Yeah.
I felt like I was at Parkway in a sense when I walked in.
Yeah, it has a real neighborhood feel and
yeah,
all that.
it does.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
does. It really does.
You got a little regulars, right? I mean, you get the tourists because
We
everybody
got
hears
8
about
to
you,
80,
but,
crippled to crazy. We got young, old. We got black, white. We got rich, poor. You know, that's what I like about po' boy shops, because you go to certain restaurants. It might be a fine dining Italian restaurant, or it might be your corner store in the middle of the worst neighborhood in the city.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a certain type of crowd that goes there. You want to see the city of New Orleans? Come to a po' boy shop, because everybody goes. Rich, poor. You know, you got a guy rubbing elbows with a $500 suit, rubbing elbows with a bum, and they're eating the same sandwich.
It's a great equalizer.
That's what makes it right.
Yeah. So you served President Obama a po' boy or two.
Right. That's what I told him. He come there and he said, "Justin, you like to cook?" I said, "Mr. President, you know what? I like to cook, but if it wasn't for this corner, I wouldn't be cooking." He looked at me like I got his attention. So I said, "You know what? You know what makes me be here on this corner is the people. You know, I love talking to the city." And the first day, that Sunday, it came on a Sunday. The first customer that day was sewage and water board worker. Filthy dirty. Must have been working all through the night. Must have been in a manhole all through the night. His name's Fred. He comes in every week. I said, "Fred, man, it's a little early to be looking like that, huh? We just opened." He said, "Man, we had this overnight gig we've been running." And he said, "I just need a shrimp sandwich to get me back going." So I got him a shrimp sandwich. 2 hours later, President of the United States of America, Chief of Command, comes get the same damn thing. That's what I told him.
Now, but I heard a little bit more about that. The night before, weren't you? Tell us about, you were eating somewhere the night before, and did you meet us kind of a...
I went out with this lady friend of mine. I never go anywhere on a Friday night. It was the Friday before. Never go anywhere because Friday night we're busy at the place. And my buddy Matt Dwyer, who owns Charlie's Steakhouse, was busy as well. But he had some pregame tickets to the Saints game. And he called me and he said, "Justin, I got these tickets to the Saints game. Would you like to go?" And I'm thinking, you know what? Sometimes you just got to get away. So I go. And me and my friend Kendall would go out to this game, and we drank like fishes. You know, anything that you could put down, we'd put it down. And I walk out the dome after the game. I'm thinking, tomorrow's Saturday, and I am messed up. I'm gonna feel bad, you know. So I gotta get me something to feel good. So we went to a coffee shop, and we ended up stumbling in Luke on St. Charles Avenue.
Yeah.
We're going to Luke, and they got that big coffee machine right when you walk in, that cappuccino machine at the bar. So I sit down. Tell me if I'm talking too long because the story entails
No,
this.
keep going.
No,
This is
it's
great.
We sit down at the bar, and I get a cup of coffee. I take that first sip. I'm like, yeah, this is right. I put it down. I go use the restroom from all the beers I've been drinking. I come back. I don't know where Kendall went. She must have passed out on the street. I walk back.
Wait, you lost your date?
I lost her. I don't know where she went.
And that's just like a side note to the story? That
Yeah.
sounds pretty important.
And this is a side note. That's what when this comes to light, what happened, I'm thinking, man, these guys were following me, you know. So I go to the restroom. I come back. I sit in my seat, and I go to sit in my seat, and there's a little 6-year-old girl sitting in my seat with a cup of coffee, my cup of coffee. No. So I grab it and I say, "Excuse me, miss," and I go sit down a couple of seats down. Well, a family had sat down in the meantime while I was gone. And it was a father, a mother, a brother, and the dad says, "Son, were you sitting here?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it's cool. I'm here now." He's like, "Well, no, it ain't going to happen like that." He said, "Emily, get up." He said, "You don't sit in front of a hot cup. You know better than that. Daddy raised you better than that." The girl starts almost crying. I'm like, "Man, I'm cool, man. You know, I'm right here. You know, it's all good. You know, you don't have to get on a girl like that." And he's like, "No, son, my daughter needs to learn respect. Sit down here where you were sitting." He makes a switch. So now the daughter is sitting in the middle
You're
of
sitting
nowhere.
with the family.
And I'm sitting in the middle of the family, drunk as Cooter Brown, you know? And I'm like, man, you know. And so we start talking. and he's from out of town, and they come from out of town. So he said, I'm here for the weekend only on some work, I'm taking my family out to eat. So I said, you ever had a po' boy? Never had one. So I gave him a call. I said, you come by and see me, and I'm going to take care of you. And the next day, Saturday, I'm in the window, hangover from hell, working. So I see him. He comes in. And he comes to the window just like I asked him. And he said, how you doing? I'm like, I thought that was really cool. And I love my locals, and locals will make that place run to the day I'm in the dirt. But when I see people from out of town, I treat them with the utmost respect and give them just as much, maybe even more than the locals. Because this is why. I went to Chicago, and I went to New York in the past couple of years. I found a place they make you feel at home. And when you're not at home and you find a home away from home, you'll go there every year. And it gives you a sense of love and respect for that city. Yeah. So when you have out-of-towners coming in, a lot of out-of-towners live here. A lot of flybirds in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? It takes more than the locals to make this thing work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I make sure I take care of him. So I gave him dessert. I gave him a whole tour of the joint. I gave him the history of it. And he didn't bring his family. He brought a buddy, a guy that wasn't with him that night. And they loved it, sent them on their way. The next day is a Sunday. That's the day the president comes. 11 o'clock we open. Guy walks in the joint, and he says, I need to speak to a manager. So I say, I'm the manager. And he says, my name's Lieutenant so-and-so. I represent the U.S. Military Naval Division.
Same guy?
No, this is a different guy. It's the next day.
Okay.
Day the president comes. He says, what I do is oversee the order and operation that goes on in the mess halls and the aircraft carriers to make sure the food is safe and sanitary on the ships. If somebody gets sick on the ship from food, everybody's screwed, So he says, I want to make sure your food's good enough for U.S. Navy. So I say, well, look around. I thought he was Board of Health. Like, this is the new thing they doing on the Sundays. When the Board of Health ain't out on Sundays, so you can kind of slip by. They putting the big guns in on your ass, So that's what I thought. So I have nothing to hide. I run my place like the U.S. military should run. And he's running around. He's looking through. And I got an old guy named Mr. Gene live across the street. He barbecues every Sunday. And he always brings me a plate over. He called me up on my cell phone. He says, Justin, I can't bring a plate over today because these guys won't get me off the porch. And I said, what you talking about, Gene? He says, man, it's 90 degrees outside, and they got about 50 cats out here in London fog jackets, trench coats. So I'm like, you're bullshitting. So I walk outside, look around. Sure enough, they got 2 guys on this block, 2 guys on this block, 2 guys on this block. And still don't know what's going on. But what made me click the president was coming, I forgot who he was in the police force. Marlon DeFilla. Y'all remember Marlon DeFilla? Maybe he was a captain.
Yeah.
Maybe he was a chief. But he was always the rep that talked on TV if there was a murder or something going on big time. He was on TV. He was a spokesman and starch whites. Never seen Marlon DeFilla in person in my life. Okay?
So there was either a major crime or something.
Or something going on. He's on the TV. I've never seen him in my life.
Yeah.
So while I'm peeking out looking for these trench coats, guys, I look on the corner of Toulouse and Hagen right in front of my place. I see Marlon DeFilla standing up in his white starches, with his hands crossed with pride. I'm like, what the hell is Marlon DeFilla doing in front of my place? I ain't never seen him in person. Something clicked the president was coming because I knew he was coming.
See, now I'm paranoid. I figured that I was a murder suspect or something.
Right.
I was being framed. Yeah, that's what would go through my head first.
So I knew the president was coming to town. It was the 5th anniversary. They made knowledge to the locals that he was coming to town. But when I saw all this going on, I knew President Obama was coming to New Orleans, and I knew he was coming to my place. And I was the only one that knew it. So I walk into the kitchen from to the naval guy. I said, is the president coming to work here? Or is the president coming to eat here? He says, he just winks at me. 2 minutes later, 2 one-way streets in front of the place. Limousines go up the one-way streets. Secret Service out of one, the president and his family, 2 daughters and his wife out the other.
Well, my friend Michael was there that day, and I was supposed to go with him, but I had another engagement. He didn't invite me till too late, so he kept texting me through the whole thing. Get over here, get over here. And then after the president got there, it's like, too late.
Yeah. It was really cool, and I got a chance. I actually sat down with him and his family for about 30 minutes.
Wow.
And talked to him, and and it was really cool. But long story short, it's been a long story about this president thing. But I'll tell you one thing at the end was a guy came into the kitchen, Secret Service, glasses, Men in Black, just like you see on Men in Black.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. Comes in, he says, Justin, like he knew me. He had 2 bottles of champagne. I'm looking at him like this guy called my name like he knew me. You don't know me, you know? And he takes his glasses off. It's the father from the coffee
Holy
shop.
mackerel.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Secret-
You told that well because I forgot that part. Now you brought it back
He
again.
was
That's
Secret.
great.
He was Secret Service all along.
So he was messing with you. Brought his whole. That wasn't even his real family.
No, and
That
it's-
6-year-old was really a
That's
midget.
what people say. People say, "Man, I got a book
They
on
were
conspiracies
scoping you
about
out
Teddy
before
Roosevelt." How
the
this-
night before.
Yeah. And
To
if,
make
if they
sure-
followed me,
You think your friend disappeared? They probably
they probably took.
Oh.
her
held her
away.
out of the
Oh, yeah,
picture.
she's in
she
Gitmo
wasn't
now.
good enough.
They probably had
She
some.
wasn't good enough for.
She's in Gitmo.
She would tar your image.
What became
still
of her?
haven't
You see her?
found.
Tarnished.
I still haven't found her since.
What?
So Kendall, if you're out there, okay, we still love you and respect you. So if we're at Ted Frost.
How well
stop.
did you know her before?
She could have been an alien.
She used to work
in
with
the
us, but
Secret
after that,
Service,
you know,
probably.
she
You
wasn't
never
there.
saw her again?
Never saw
You went
her
to the
again.
bathroom. She disappeared. Secret Service and his supposed family appears.
That's how my
and
life.
You never see her
Well,
again.
that's normal to me. You know, that's how my life rolls.
Oh, Justin, that's.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, you did see her again?
Yeah, I saw her.
Oh,
We're
okay.
friends. She's graduating nursing school next
Oh,
month.
okay.
Well, Justin, I
Why'd she
think
leave you?
it's-
She was just a friend.
Yeah, but why'd she leave though?
When
You
she
went to the
leaves,
bathroom.
She passed
She
out.
passed out. When I walked out, she was in the foyer, passed out on the
At Luke's?
okay.
at Luke's on the bench when you're in the waiting area.
That's awesome.
The little 6-year-old knocked her out. She
Yeah, something
had to
happened.
take out that aggression on somebody else.
Smell like chloroform.
Well, that voice you hear is your +1. I see
That's
he's
my
here.
+1,
Will you
my-
introduce him?
This is the great Mr. Jason Turner presiding.
Chocolate Thunder.
Chocolate Thunder. All right. What do you
Thank
do,
you,
Jason?
Mr. Thunder, for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me. Well, what I do at Parkway is I take a lot of the load off Justin here so that he can kiss babies and shake hands, or shake babies and kiss hands, or whatever he wants to do, you know. So, you know, he says, you know, do something, and I make sure it gets done.
All right.
So.
So how long you been there?
I've been there about 1.5 years now. I
right.
started out doing all the really grunty prep work. You know, they had me in a hot box, what we call a hot box, where we prep the roast beef. It's basically a garage. I'm not supposed to tell all the secrets, but it's basically a garage where we
Oh,
have
nobody
like,
listens to the show. Don't worry.
That's
where we
right.
have
Tell
like
us.
90 ovens, and we cook all the roast beef in there. And in the summer, it gets up to like 300 degrees. You can leave a roast brisket out, and it'll be cooked in a couple hours.
So that's initiation into
We're
you
busy.
have to
We
work.
just-
How
in-
does it get 300 degrees? It doesn't really get 300 degrees.
Have
Oh,
you
it
been to
could-
New Orleans in the summer?
Yeah.
It gets to be 300
It
degrees.
literally will cook brisket in this garage.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I'm lying, but yeah. It's really hot.
It feels like that.
It does. And you just...
And how
2
long
weeks
do you
into
cook
working-
I'm sorry.
2
How long
weeks-
do you cook the brisket? Though? Does
we-
it have to cook over like all night?
We generally
cook it-
do a 24-hour cook-off on our briskets. We
Nice.
try to get as close to that 24 hours as we can, but sometimes we have to speed it up just because everybody eats it so much.
So is it cooking overnight when everybody goes home and it's
Yeah.
just left alone in
Yeah.
there? And
So
Okay.
do you have to stay in the hot box? Did you have to
Oh,
stay
no.
at night?
No, they can't
Okay.
pay you enough to do that.
No.
No, they can't afford that. No. But
Okay.
2 weeks into this thing, I literally lost 15 pounds.
It was like an Indian sweat lodge. in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh man, you look so good now." You look like, was I fat?
Yeah, right.
Is that what y'all telling me? But it's
15 pounds of water weight. You
Yeah.
just
yeah. I was doubling up on the work with Justin, and he mentioned Charlie's Steakhouse. I was working there too as a line cook,
oh wow.
and so now I'd say number 2 at Parkway, but there'll be a
Wow,
couple
that-
people to dispute that. But
Well, I'll tell you, he's number 2. That's why I brought him here.
Yeah, but you're the only one he brought to the show, so
There you
I
go.
think you win.
proof's
I'll
in
tell
the
you-
pudding.
I met Jason a few years back over at Charlie's Steakhouse. One of my best buddies is the owner, Matt Dwyer.
Love that place.
And I was thinking about bringing him as a mystery guest, but I was, you know what? Jason is Charlie's and Parkway in one.
Yeah.
You know, he does both of them, and he's a great guy. And it's like this. It's an honor for me to have him here. It's an honor for all of us to have him here because this fella is he's probably one of the best kept secrets in the city. And we need to blow him up as he should be.
All right.
Excellent.
How you going to lose him?
Yeah,
Man,
it's fine.
that was beautiful.
Well, tell it. Oh, go ahead.
No,
No, go ahead.
I'm always interrupting you. Go
No,
ahead.
I'm always interrupting you. Please.
I don't go. Please.
I was just going to ask, give us a little summary about how you got into Parkway and how all that started. I think
It's
that's
really
interesting.
messed up. It's really crazy how I got into this because I'm 28. I'm going on 10 years of being at Parkway. I graduated Biloxi High School and
B-Town.
B-Town, baby. And Mississippi, the rest of Mississippi looks at Biloxi like they're a drunken stepchild, because it's a whole different era. It's like New Orleans to the rest of
I was
Louisiana.
going to say it's like New Orleans.
And
is
New Orleans and
Louisiana.
Biloxi really they have a tight, close knit.
Right.
More than any other city in any state. Biloxi and New Orleans are like one of the same type of people. They talk the same, they act the same. You go to at the same architecture in both of the cities. But my mother's born and raised in New Orleans. My father's born and raised in Biloxi. She moved over there. 70s, found him. Here I am, and I got a brother and 2 sisters. And always been coming to New Orleans. I mean, it's been a home since I was a kid. I had my ass washed by Archbishop Hannum at St. Louis Cathedral in 1984. So that's my New Orleans initiation. Not much people who born and raised here can say that.
Right.
But everyone has a favorite family member. And the favorite family member has to be the craziest one, And my Uncle Jay, who is the owner of Parkway, was the craziest family member. And
That's your mom's brother?
that's my mom's brother.
Yeah.
And he'd pick me up, sometimes meet my mom halfway in Slidell when I was a boy, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up till now, and drop me off in Slidell because she never wanted to come into the city. She hated that driving traffic. And
She didn't miss it. She didn't want to come in with you. She just.
no, she didn't want to come in because she didn't like the traffic. She's been in this big city her whole life, and she moved away. She loved that small town. But
Okay.
she's back here with us. She runs the books at Parkway. We'll get into that. But I used to go out, and my uncle worked with him all the way up through I graduated on the weekends. And he lived next to Parkway Bakery. And Parkway Bakery closed in 1995. And it had been open since 1911.
And it was a bakery, right? It wasn't a Poboy place?
No, it was always a po' boy
Oh, it
place.
was, okay.
But they made their own French fries. They were a bakery as well. The
Oh,
bakery
okay.
was the front, okay,
Where the bar is now.
where the bar is now. Yeah,
Okay.
no, the bakery was where the patio is, but the bakery was the main business.
Okay.
Tommy Mandina says he used to come over, ride his bike over, owner Mandina's, come over and get some loaves. His dad used to send him over to Parkway to get loaves for his restaurant. And by the time he came back to the restaurant, off the ends were eating off the loaves. It was old school. Back in the old days, like I can talk about the old days, but I think I can because I've worked at Parkway for 10 years, so I know the stories that no one knows,
Right.
And every corner had its own bakery. But when they closed in 95, my uncle lived next door, and the old guys put a for sale sign on it. And Mid-City in 95 isn't Mid-City now.
Right.
The can company was shut down. It was a rough old area.
Yeah,
That had gotten a little rough. So my uncle bought it for a good price, and he bought it for what it was. It was just an empty shed, and he made it a tool shed for his construction business. That's what he did. I remember going my earliest remembrance of Parkway that no one else could tell you a story about Parkway when they were a boy. They tell you about how the donuts were and how this was and how that was. My earliest remembrance of it, probably only one story comes from me, my uncle's tool shed. I used to go in there and get hammers and saws, and we'd go to the job site. One thing that I remember, everywhere we went to the North Shore, we went downtown, we went to Mid-City, we went to Chalmette, uptown. we were doing some work on somebody's house with a little age on it, my uncle would say, "Hey, you know the Parkway Bakery? That's my tool shed. Parkway Bakery. I remember I used to come there when I was a boy. They had the best roast beefs. They had the best donuts. I remember that. And I graduated high school in 2003, and my uncle heard them stories so much, he said, man, I'm opening this place. I'm putting the hammer and saw away, and I'm picking up the bread knife. And there it went. History since then. You
Wow.
know?
Now, which house was it? Is the one that's on the 20-foot stilts
No,
next
no,
to it?
no,
Not
no,
that
no.
one, right?
That's where I live.
Okay. You
But,
live in that house?
I live in that house.
You're never going to flood, man.
No.
Yeah, you're in the highest house in the city.
No, you're right. It is. It was the house on the other side on Hagen Street.
Okay.
It's the house the only piece of property in that block that we don't own now.
Oh.
And that was what he only owned before he bought it.
That's not what the one with the vintage car in front of it, no, right? There used to be one that had a vintage
There's
car
like a
parked there.
1950s little.
1930 Model A.
That's it.
We
Yeah,
just
it's
we
in the-
just
it's in
cranked.
the parking-
It's in the parking lot. the
Oh, okay,
Parkway.
okay.
We just got it going
All right.
this past week.
That's yours?
We ran it. It's Parkways.
Nice.
We just ran it. So we're fixing that thing up.
Did you grow up in New Orleans?
I did, born and raised. And ironically, I
It's
grew
not
up
dressed or anything.
not far from Parkway. I went to elementary school at Fisk Howard, which has been torn down now, but it's in mid-city. It was on South Lopez and South Gayoso or something like that. But I was actually telling Justin this earlier. We used to fish, me and my uncle Bill, we used to fish in the bayou that was right in front of Parkway. It just runs,
wow.
like literally on that same bank. And we'd pass there all the time, and there was always people in Parkway up until, like you said, 95, it closed down. I just thought it was a cop hangout because we also always see cop cars, and my uncle wasn't really always on the right side of the law, so he avoided that like the plague. So we would, we'd fish and hang out on the bayou, and we'd see all the people coming and going from Parkway, man. It's pretty much a big circle of New Orleans.
When did you get involved in Charlie's?
About 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I was a truck driver, and I got married, so that's not really conducive to
So she
good
wanted you to park the
career
truck.
at truck driving. Yeah, so the one thing I really love to do other than drive is cook. So I went to a local kind of commercial cooking school, and I got into Charlie's. Just a friend of mine was a bartender, and so he had mentioned to the guy over there, Matt, that they, he had a friend that was looking for work. And so I ended up there. And, whenever we weren't busy, I'd go from the kitchen to the front of the house and talk to people because I like talking to people. I'm a talker. So that's how I met Justin and a lot of the other people that are regulars over there, And everybody I've met there, I'm really good friends with now. So
That seems like the kind of place, too. Everybody's a regular there, pretty much, right? I mean,
if you come twice, you're a regular.
Yeah.
They know your name, they know what you drink, they know
Right.
how you like your steak, whatever. It's just like, there's a lot of parallels to Parkway, because if I see you in the window a couple times, whether I'm fake rude to you or if I'm the most pleasant person, then I know you're a regular. So,
what was it? There's like 2 steaks or something on the menu at Charlie's, right? It's just
not anymore. There's a lot.
There's a lot now?
There's a lot more. They're kind of getting away from the old menu because a lot of people were like, oh, this is what was always here, and they wanted to keep the tradition, but times change, so you got to change a little bit with the times. They've got a couple new steaks, new cuts, and a couple new sides, but it's still the same tradition and the same feel,
Times change, but the game remains the same. They still have the same old school stuff, but they got some new school stuff for the people who can't jive with the old school
Right, so
stuff.
it's not a
Exactly.
food museum.
Right.
Yeah, right.
No. And they've cleaned it up a lot since the since the storm.
Now, weren't they next door neighbors to that place? Isn't that how it worked? And then it
Yeah.
flooded, and they shut down after Katrina. And they said the guy had no business experience in restaurants, and he bought the place and reopened it because he loved it. Right? Wasn't that what the story is? Or
The story is that Matt, who's the owner of Charlie's now, he actually was a waiter at Charlie's,
Oh, okay.
waiter/bartender, and when they closed down, he had the idea that he wanted to reopen Charlie's, but the owner, Miss Dottie, was, she's a little bit older. She's still around, so I can't say was. She is a little bit older, and she didn't want to go through the hassle of, reopening, so she was just gonna let it go. And he was relentless with her, the Miss Dottie, and the original Charlie, his widow. He was still in touch. She was still around then, and he just kept in touch, kept trying to buy the place. And he actually went around and he would cut her grass and wash her cars. He was like literally begging, like he was trying to get back with her, with old girlfriend. And she finally
Win her
was
heart.
like, I'll sell it to you with certain conditions that you don't really change the place, or, that you don't change too much. And so he was like,
I know originally upstairs was like identical it was before the storm. People said, right? Yeah.
Right.
He didn't
they've
change
kept
anything,
the
right?
same feel. He spruced it up because he's such a, I don't want to say clean freak, but clean freak. So he spruced it up, and it's the same feel, but it's a lot more modern. Not quite modern enough, but it is, for some people. But it is.
Yeah, well, I remember the first time I went, it must have been 2006 or something. I went in there and I asked about our kids, is there a kids menu, is there anything? And they laughed at me like, kids get a steak, that's it,
no menu.
$35, whatever it was. You got to get a whole steak. And then, and there was no menu. The waiter would tell you there was like 2 steaks and you picked which one you wanted and everything. There was one other option, I think, for a side, and that was it. It was great.
There's actually a picture in the dining room downstairs, and it's one of the older waiters. I think his name's Gino or something like that. Something really Italian. And the caption says menu, and he's standing like spread out with his arms. He was the menu. Like, I am the menu. You can literally take that voice from that caption. Like, you can't. It's like, I am the menu.
I'll tell you a funny story real quick about Charlie's. I've been going there since I was a boy. My Uncle Jay used to take me there. And my dad took me there a couple of times from Biloxi. And my dad's family in Biloxi had they have a marine engine shop. So he'd come down here from Biloxi and try to sell parts and marine engines to all the shrimp boat workers down, down in Venice and all that around that way. And he'd always come back to Charlie's. And he took an old redneck mechanic from Mississippi down there. And I'm from Mississippi, so I can say redneck Mississippi mechanic. So,
and you're wearing a John Deere hat.
And I'm wearing a John Deere hat, so it's all good.
Yeah.
You
have street cred.
I'm a redneck. So they go down there. They go and work on a shrimp boat down in Grand Isle. They come back up. They stop. He says, "Look, I'm going to take you to a place called Charlie's Steakhouse. It's one of the best steakhouses in the city." And this mechanic says, "Okay, let's go." So they go there, and my dad knows the spiel. There's no menu. They're straight up. And it is what it is. So they go there, they sit down, have seated. So he just lets the mechanic ask all the wrong questions. And the first one he says is they had all Italians working there at that time.
Right.
Been there probably 50 years. I remember they had little 80-year-old blue-haired ladies working when I was a boy going there. And so he sits down, he says, "Where's the menu?" Guy walks up, so "We ain't got the no menu. What you want?" And he says, "I want a steak. What kind of steaks you have?" "We have a T-bone, a filet, big or small. What you want?" It was never ounces. It was big or small. And he said, "Give me the big T-bone." So he gets a big T-bone. Works Charlie. It up. The Charlie, which is the Charlie now. What's it, a 32?
32 ounce.
32 ounce.
Oh, wow.
The gangster. So he comes back out. He sets the hot sizzling steaks on a steak plate. And that's the only steakhouse in this city I've ever seen come out on sizzling steak plates. There's not another steakhouse that does that.
Huh.
I don't. If you've ate it.
No, I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
They come out. You got to watch back.
Chris's didn't used to do that too.
They probably used to. No, they probably used to, but right now there is no steakhouse in the city.
Oh yeah.
Putting
No.
it out on the steaks.
Oh, no.
On the
Okay.
plates they cook it on. And anyway, so he comes out with the steaks, lays it down, and old redneck mechanic says, he asks if they have any ketchup. And the old Italian waiter looks at him and says, "Oh, you want the ketchup, huh? I get you the ketchup." He goes back to the kitchen, and they're busy. My dad told me this. I could see it. He walks out with every cook in the joint. Every cook, the dishwasher, every server. They surround the table. And he puts the ketchup, Heinz, right on the table. He looks back at his crew. He says, "You see this guy? He eats a steak like a little lady." And they all laugh at him. And I told Matt that. And when I was at Parkway, Matt opened that place up in 2007, 2006, 2008?
Yeah.
It was I lose track of time.
It'll
But,
be 5 years this August.
okay.
Yeah.
So he reopened. One of my bartenders knew him real well and knew him for like 20 years. And Matt was eating lunch at Parkway while he was reopening it. So that's how I was introduced to Matt from Charlie's. And when I heard that, I knew Charlie's from that story from my uncle used to take me. So we hit it off right there. And he's a great guy. He runs a great business. And if things don't pan out for me, I'm going to work for Matt at Charlie's Steakhouse.
We are going to ask y'all questions from the book of questions, but I do have one question to ask you about that. Who is the oldest employee, longest term employee you have right now?
shit.
Oh, that's simple. The one and only Mr. James Adams. Been with me since and taught me everything I know and don't know.
Since you opened in, what,
Since
2003?
we opened 2003. I remember
Wow.
the first time I laid eyes
10
on
years.
him. Yeah. He
That
looks
is
young. He looks younger now.
He's the
looks
easiest
younger
guy.
now.
He's the easiest guy I've ever met in my life. I've never seen him mad, and that's
how you-
rare.
That's how
in
you.
the
That's how you
kitchen.
last.
That's
I
how
guess,
you
in a kitchen,
survive in the
right.
restaurant
Yeah.
world. You're
Yeah.
easy going, go with the flow. Shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so he's mentored you.
Oh yeah,
would you
he
say
taught
he's a
me. I
mentor
actually
and
did a show. I can't tell you what channel because they want to disclose it, and it was a competition. 4 chefs around the city,
Nice.
and my spiel was they want to know where you come from, your background, and I told them about James and how I'm better than all these fancy chefs that been around and went to Cordon Bleu and this and that because I learned from the streets and I learned from cooks who aren't as credited as they should be, like Chef James. I went in there and whooped all their asses.
You won.
I won.
All right.
It comes out in July.
Oh, a spoiler. Come on.
No.
But I didn't say what
you
show.
Can't say. You can't,
can't
say.
say.
Then we don't want it because you can
No,
get
no.
in trouble with
No,
that.
no,
and
that'd be
we
bad.
don't. We want
You
to
have to-
be
you have
able to
return
see
your,
that.
This is intriguing. The book of
Okay.
questions.
Oh yeah, and this
So-
is before you were born, I think. You
Yeah.
were born in '84. That's
Yeah.
about when this was the bestseller.
He's 84. I'm 81. So
All right, so
I've
you.
got
I
I've got
think
a
we
couple.
need to pick. We normally let y'all pick your number, but since y'all are babies in 81 and 84, should we make them take their birth
No, let
year?
him pick. Let him
All
pick.
right, all right. Tell your favorite number between 1 and 217.
71.
Okay, the year I was born. Let's see.
Oh, you just dated yourself.
I'm proud of it. I have no.
Right on.
Okay. Okay. Would you be willing to have horrible nightmares every night for a year if you would be rewarded with extraordinary wealth?
No.
No?
No.
Every day for a year.
Nightmares?
No.
You would be disturbed by nightmares?
No. Every day above ground's a good day. I don't worry about money. If I got food in my belly and I got my health, that's all I'm worried about. You
All
know?
right.
Wanting money, that's when if you do something for the money, that's when greed comes in and that's when you fail. You do it for the love and then money will come. And I never expect to be the richest man in the world. I don't want to be the richest man in the world. But I want to provide for my family and for myself. But health is everything. And the way you live, you got to live right. I'd rather be, you could be the richest man in the world. You got a lot of enemies, or you can be a normal Joe and have a bunch of friends. I'd rather be a normal Joe and have a bunch of friends.
Dude, I would
Great.
do that for that exact reason. I'd take all the nightmares for a year for that exact reason. That everybody else would be awesome. I'd take care of everybody.
Oh,
from
you'd be the richest man?
Yeah, it wouldn't.
That's
it
awesome.
wouldn't be just for the love of the money. I'd lose a little sleep every night for a year, just so I could take care of everybody I know.
Oh, that's
once
nice.
you-
Y'all
once
both
you got
answered
it.
the question.
Oh,
in
that's
nice ways.
that's thinking outside the box, dude.
Yeah.
Boom! You don't see this on TV. We just clashed a fist pump.
Fox News would call that a terrorist fist jab. So watch out.
Really?
Yeah.
What if you do this? Is it still? Because my son does that. That's a squid.
That's the blow up.
No, that's a
Your
squid.
son might be the coolest kid alive.
Is that still kind of freaky?
No, it's still happening.
I mean, to me, it's a little weird, but he might be the coolest kid alive.
All right. Well, you have to answer a different question.
All right,
That
my
was
number-
nice and. But,
My number is 111.
Okay. 111. Some of these are terrible. Here, you read it.
Is this going to make me blush?
111.
All right, why are you giving it to me? Okay. If your parents became infirm and the only alternative to bringing them into your home was to make them into zombies, no, not zombies, was to put them in a nursing home,
Okay.
would you do so? What about a sister or brother who suffered a permanently crippling
terrible.
injury? This is so 80s. This is before they had nursing homes. This is like the nursing homes were a new thing in the 80s. And other than your home, had nowhere to go but a convalescence home. Would you take the brother or sister in?
Okay.
Permanently crippling injury. So you're changing
Yeah,
diapers. You're doing the whole 9 yards.
You know what? I just actually had a weekend with my family. We had a surprise birthday party for my mom. So just off the high of that, I probably would for a while. I'm not going to say forever, but for a good while. I'd be willing to change a diaper or two. My dad, I'd probably think twice because he's threatened to pee on my foot on purpose when he gets old.
Why would he do that? That makes no sense
This
to
must
me.
be a father thing. My father threatens me. I don't know what kind
To
of
pee on
rage
your
this
foot
is
too?
on.
That
No,
was so funny.
he threatens me that one day I'm gonna have to wipe his ass.
Yeah, that's a dad thing. That's definitely a dad
See,
thing.
that's a disincentive to what's he doing? It's not smart.
I don't know,
They
I
must
think-
be saying y'all put
I
me
think
through
so.
so much hell growing up. You were a pain in the ass, and when I'm old, I'm gonna make
I think
Oh,
so
yeah,
because
work hard. I'ma
I've found
pay back.
I've caught myself telling my son the exact same thing. He's like, so, Dad,
I'ma
when you
piss
get
on
old,
your foot?
he said, Dad, when you get old, I'm gonna put you in the nursing home, and I'm like, okay, when you come and visit, I'm gonna piss on your foot.
How old
Wow.
is your son?
He's 9, and can I say asshole on this? He's an
Yes.
asshole, but he's a benevolent asshole. If
right.
that makes any sense.
Is
He's
he an only
yours.
child?
No, I've got a 9-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter.
All right.
So he's awesome. She's mostly great. Can't use the word awesome, but mostly great because she's 12. So
All right.
And you have siblings, but no children.
No, I have an English bulldog. That's about as much as I was as a kid right now. I have
Rockwell.
Parkway too. That's enough.
That's your baby.
But yeah, I'm looking for the family one day, but right now it's just not
yeah,
appropriate.
Rockwell's a handful.
Yeah, I can't even take care of my dog. So I just put a bowl of food in front of him and leave for 12 hours. I'm thinking that's all I could do with a kid, but you get thrown in jail for that.
Rockwell actually got out of his apartment last week.
It's an 85-pound English bulldog.
Whoa.
He's
Oh,
big. He's a muscular dog, and so he
Slobber
He
gets
couldn't
out.
go far then, huh?
Yeah, he gets out, and I'm outside I'm on the side street, and I'm having a cigarette.
I live at the restaurant.
Yeah.
So.
And so
Okay.
I hear this scream, and there's these 4 black ladies, and they come through the alley. Nobody leaves through the alley, especially like
Customers.
dusk or at night or whatever. And they're running down the alley, and one lady's like, I forgot my purse. Go back and get my purse. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, there's a big damn dog on the patio. And I go and I'm like, the only big dog I know is Rockwell. So I go and he's just hanging out on the patio. I'm like, Rockwell, come over here. And he comes over, and I grab him by the collar, and he just shimmies out of the collar. And he's running around, grabbing people's French
Eating their
fries.
food.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he's nasty.
And I called Justin because I thought Justin had come down to the restaurant and saw something that needed to be addressed and tied Rockwell up or something. So I called him up. I'm like, where the hell are you? He's like, I'm upstairs. You do know Rockwell's downstairs, right? Running around the patio. What the hell? How the hell did he get out? Well, he's down here, so I'm bringing him upstairs. And we've got to yell at him. Like, literally, get upstairs!
He knows how to open doors.
Yeah.
He knows how to open doors. Literally?
Yeah.
You can put those child safety
I
devices
had
on
it.
him.
No,
you know,
I had
like
it.
that.
I had it nudged. I didn't close it all the way. And he clawed it open and ran downstairs. And
Have you thought about making dog po' boy? That would solve the problem.
yeah, it would. He'd,
Two-
oh,
two-
he'd be
two
a
birds
good
in one.
tasting po' boy too. He has some meat on
He's
him.
all muscle, too, man. He's an awesome dog, though.
Well, so Justin, it sounds like you live there. You live next door, right? It's your life. It's been your life since before you even got involved in the place. I guess from the very beginning.
Yeah,
really,
it's
right?
been my life since I was a kid.
Since you were a kid. So do you ever get away? I mean, do you have vacation? What do you do?
Yeah, I make sure I take a good vacation every year. I've been to Hawaii. I've been to New York. I've been to I make sure, and I'll go alone if I don't have a friend to go with.
You go in the summer, or what do you do?
It all depends on when I feel like leaving. And you know when I feel like leaving is when I look at one of my regular customers, and it just happens. It just happens. We're all human. And I'm like, I don't want to see you. I'm thinking that. I never say that, but when I think that, it's like time to go for a couple of weeks.
The guy comes out of the sewage hole, right? And you go, "This is it."
I don't know, go back in the hole. It's like that's when it's time to take a couple of weeks vacation. And then when you're on that vacation, you realize what you have. It's so special, and you're pumped up to get back in. Everybody,
Yeah.
I don't care what you do,
Reinvigorates
how
you.
much you love it. Everybody needs to get away.
Yeah,
That's part
definitely.
of life.
How about you? Do you get vacations much?
I don't. Every night when I go home, I guess, is a vacation. I guess I'm obligated to say that, huh? So every
She's
night.
listening, yeah.
Being with your family is like a vacation.
Yeah, sure. I barely get an off day, let alone a vacation.
You're right. Your off days when you're dead, son.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question, and now I don't know where I read this, but who is Michael Tannen? I read that name.
Michael Tannen.
And how did he influence you?
How do you know Michael Tannen? Is this set?
I'm the psychic host.
Because me and
Yes.
Michael Tannen come to breakfast. We're closed on Tuesdays. Michael Tannen's been my breakfast buddy for about 7 years. And 3 times out the month, 3 Tuesdays a month, we come here to Ted's Frosty.
Ah.
Wait.
You didn't know that?
No.
Margo?
No,
No.
we
Is
go
that
to
why you
bunch.
asked?
We go to a bunch of places, but this is one of my picks that I take him because Frost Shop has the best breakfast.
Wow.
I really haven't eaten here too much for dinner, but breakfast they got the old same cooks in there. They got the same people, and you want to see this place busy, come for breakfast.
I've never had breakfast
It's
here. I've had
nice
lunch
at
and
breakfast.
dinner
Really
a
nice
1,000
breakfast.
times. I've never
It's
had
like
breakfast.
It's
something-
real New Orleans.
It's like a
it feels
breakfast.
you.
It's like a New Orleans place you'd sit back 40 years ago, and sit at. But
That's an endorsement, yeah.
Mike is
He's awesome.
one of my best friends, and he works with me. And I don't know why I didn't pick him for the secret
Because
person.
I'm more awesome.
Yeah.
Because
But-
you're Chocolate Thunder, man.
Mike wouldn't let anyone have a chance to talk. He's an old guy. He's an old.
he's not lying.
He's an old Jewish fella from Coney Island in Brooklyn,
Oh, yeah.
and he's been here since I'd say 2006. His brother has been here since 1969. He was a city planner, and his brother Bob Tannen actually placed where the G&O Bridge landed, and he placed where the New Orleans Arena went. He worked for a big firm that did that, and he was a city planner for years, and now he just does his artwork. But Mike, his little brother's 56. He come here he worked for Tower Records his whole life, career.
He will tell you
I'm
about
talking
it, too.
big time Tower Records, not just working flipping CDs, like
Right.
opening stores, training people, like one of the big wigs at Tower Records. And when they went under,
Yeah, there used to be a Tower Records in Decatur, right
Yeah.
in the quarter.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
when they went under, he was at Lincoln Center, New York, and he'd open stores all over the place. They went under, all the CD shops. You don't see too much of them around anymore.
Right.
They all went under because of the internet
iTunes
and everything.
all, yeah.
And he was looking for a job. And he found us, and I'm glad he did, because he does all our buying, ordering, anything. You come in the Parkway, you grab a bottle of hot sauce, or you eat a roast beef. Mike was on the phone purchasing it.
Huh.
And I'm lucky I have a Jewish fella from New York purchasing food from me, because he always gets me the best price. But he's my best buddy. He's a mentor to me too on life, and always has good stories. And I'll be with him tomorrow, maybe here eating breakfast.
Oh yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's totally all. He's mostly.
Now, why did you ask though, Margot? Why did you ask the question?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The name just
I
came to
don't.
you?
I have no.
Well, I'll tell you why you might have
You
saw
had to
that.
know something about it.
This is why you might have saw that, because if you look at it, there's a newspaper article. The one article they put Michael Tannen in was they talked about our corned beef, and
Back to
yeah,
the
you
Jewish
had
New York
to.
thing,
You
yeah.
had to go all the way to New.
Yeah, I
meet
went
a
to
New
New York.
Yorker.
Well, I
all the
went-
way, or go. Okay, you tell it.
Well, the
What-
thing was, I bought corned beef in town. First, I bought it already cooked. I didn't know what corned beef was. I looked on Parkway's old menu that they had from the 40s and 50s. And one thing that I asked my uncle and people that would work, they had tongue, they had liver cheese, they had bologna, salami, they had corned beef. And I said, what's one thing I could take off this menu that's going to work now? in
Of all those
today's
things,
times?
corned beef. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
corned
Don't want
beef.
any of the rest of it. Yeah.
And I was thinking about bringing liver cheese back. I
Oh.
love liver cheese.
Oh gosh. Ugh.
But
I'm
anyways,
with you.
so I bring the corned beef back, and I bought like corned beef that's already cooked,
No vital organs.
and Mike was working for us. Mike was working with us, and so I said, Mike, he's from Brooklyn, from New York, so I said, look, try this corned beef, because if anyone knows how to do corned beef, it's the New York delis.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
know it. That's a second nature to them. That is the nature of them.
Right.
And he tried his corned beef. Oh, that's bullshit.
He's
He
get
wouldn't
outta
try to
here.
get out of here. Hey, and so I ended up, I get perfecting it, and we do our own corned beef. And one thing I learned that you have to do with corned beef, I used to buy it and then put it on a flat grill, warm it up with water, because when you kind of steam it,
Yeah.
sometimes it dried out like bacon.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, man, So I went to Katz Deli, I went to Carnegie, I went to Second Avenue, I went to all these little Jewish
Stein's
delis.
got a good one, too.
Stein's has a
Yeah.
great one,
Yeah, yeah.
And Dan's a good buddy of
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah. Okay. He's from
And-
Philadelphia. I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what they do is they steam it. They keep the briskets in these big steamers. And when I came back to New Orleans, I bought these same steamers, and we steam our corned beef. And Michael Tannen kind of he coached me on how it should be and tried it. He made our corned beef to what it is today by his critiquing. And what better than a Jewish fella from New York City to tell me how my corned beef should be?
And he's a tough critic. He is tough. Literally.
Well, you know what else is tough? The clock is tough because we're out of time.
Oh.
And
Okay.
it's killing us because this has been a blast. I'd
Yeah,
love to
it
talk
is.
for another couple hours, but we're out of time. We got to keep with our format. So thanks for coming.
No
This has
problem.
been an absolute delight. Thank you, Chocolate Thunder.
This was awesome, man.
And Justin Kennedy from Parkway Bakery. It's been a delight having you. We'll have your website on our website and any other information we can do to what hours you open and days?
We're open 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., closed on Tuesday.
Every day but Tuesday. All right. Thank you so much for
Parkway
coming.
Poboys on Twitter.
And you're on Twitter?
We're
We're
on
on
Twitter.
everything.
We're
We're
on
on
Instagram.
Facebook.
We're trying
on
to get
Facebook.
fancy.
Yeah.
We're everywhere, all over.
You have that. What's that New Orleans piano player, actor guy, famous? Not trumpet. player.
Harry Connick
Connick.
Jr.?
You sound like Harry Connick.
That's
You got to keep it to.
That's what the president told me.
You
That's
sound
what
like
Barack Obama. He said, you know what? Harry Connick, he said, if I was on the phone with you, a buddy of mine sounds just like you, Harry Connick Jr. I said, Mr. President, you got it wrong.
He
Harry-
sounds like.
He sounds like me.
That's awesome.
Well, thank y'all so much for sharing the evening with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having us.
Jason
This was
Turner.
a blast. Yeah.
And Justin Kennedy. Thank you. Well, our show is recorded live at Ted's Frost Top on Claiborne Avenue in Calhoun, in Uptown New Orleans.
Uptown.
Ted's is open. Uptown. Well, sort of uptown, right? Uptown. Ted's is open 7 days a week, serving first-class burgers, beer, and their awesome homemade root beer in a frosty mug. Proprietary recipe. Midnight Menu Plus One is produced by Grant Morris. Chris Keogh has been our technical director, and the fabulous audio quality of this show is brought to you in part by PreSonus Audio Electronics. PreSonus makes some of the best audio recording and live sound productions, including Studio One music production software, Studio Live digital mixing consoles, and Eris studio monitors, and much more. Visit PreSonus.com for more information. You can get in touch with us here at Midnight Menu Plus One by going to our website, itsneworleans.com. From there you can follow us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, sign up for our mailing list. And while you're at itsneworleans.com, you can listen to other episodes of Midnight Menu Plus One, as well as other shows. Happy Hour, Mindset, True to the Game, Win-Win, and Out to Lunch. If you're listening to the show on iTunes, thanks for subscribing. Maybe you could take a minute to rate and review us. That helps other people find us. Midnight Menu Plus One is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. Till we meet again, here at Ted's Frost Top, I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margot Moss.
Good night.
Good night.
You know Labor Day signals the unofficial end of summer, but not the end of your outdoor projects. Lowe's helps you do it right and helps you save with Labor Day deals throughout the store. Shop now and get 2 bags of Stay Green potting mix for $12. And keep your lawn looking neat and trim with a Craftsman 2-cycle 17-inch gas string trimmer, now $20 off at just $119. Whatever's still on your to-do list this Labor Day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 8/28. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii, U.S. only.